Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Michelle and we are still playing with the Art by Marlene October release for 2025, and today I decided to take the little beach huts stamp for a ride. First I am taking it out of its packaging and I'm popping it into a little A5 folder, pocket folder, sleeve. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I'm inking it up with my black ink pad, and I grabbed out some of Studio Light's beautiful alcohol ink paper. So this is a bleed proof paper, and I know you can see a pink blob there. It was from when I just tested what the inks look like on the paper when I did the unboxing. So all I'm doing is I'm keeping all of these stamps on their backing sheets. I'm inking them up and then I'm pressing them down onto my A4 sheets of paper so I can get two sets of one stamp on one sheet of paper. So I'm not going to show you how I colored in each and every one of them, but I did think I would just show you the process. And this is pretty much the process that I follow for all the coloring in that I do, or most of it. I start with some alcohol markers. These are lovely ones it's a combination between Studio Light alcohol markers and then some other Prime Art, they are called. I think it might be a South African brand. I'm not sure. But anyway, the Studio Light ones are so lovely. They are round and they've got a beautiful little brush tip that's quite fine. So you can get into the teeniest, tiniest little details with that little brush tip. So all I'm doing is I'm putting a base layer of color down. And because I know that I will add shading and some extra highlights and that when I go in with my coloring in pencils. The one thing that I did find was, and you can't see it on here, but the ink from the ink pad, because I've actually got stays on ink in that archival ink pad, because that's all we can get here to refill with. But the ink did move with the alcohol markers over the top. So it's not too obvious. And because these markers from Studio Light have such a fine point, you can actually get quite close to those black lines, but without touching them. And it's not noticeable that you didn't go all the way up to the line. Apparently, you are supposed to use a dye-based ink to be able to use alcohol markers with your stamps. I don't have that yet, so I think they said the Memento stamp pad is a really good one, and there was another one that's dye-based. Obviously, a water-soluble one will not work. And then the alcohol-based ones or oil-based ones don't work either. Okay, so now I'm going in with my coloring in pencils. These are my Arrtx pencils. They go beautifully over this paper. I think I could very easily use this paper just to use my coloring in pencils on without the alcohol marker at the bottom. It's just, this paper is so smooth and it just takes the mediums so well. So if you wanted to know about that, now you do. So I've gone ahead and I've colored in all of these little bits, and as I'm going, I'm also getting to know my coloring in pencils because this is a fairly new set. I haven't played with it too much, but I really love the way that they go onto the surfaces that I've tried them on this far. From the reviews that I've watched, they are on par with more professional grade ones, but they are much cheaper than the professional grade ones. So while I was coloring this in, I kind of knew that when I fussy cut these, I was definitely not going to fussy cut the balloon string and the flag and the ladder and all those teeny tiny little bits. but I still colored them in, but I knew that I would not be using them on my page because it would be tedious to try and fussy cut that. You'll also see me going in with my Posca paint pen, and I'm just adding a couple of highlights. And I also went over the top with my, I think the Caran d'Ache, that's what they're called, the Caran d'Ache Lumo pencils. While I was at it, I also did the little cat from the Beach Bums stamp set. It's one of those little mini stamp sets that Marlene had released a couple of releases ago. And I colored that little cat in because I thought it would be perfect. Now I'm going to start working on my background, and I decided to use my watercolor. So I'm just going in with a sandy kind of color and now brown, and I'm just kind of blending those colors together until it looks like the beach. Well, I guess as close to the beach as I'll ever achieve. I'm not a watercolor artist. I don't know how to do these things realistically, and it's certainly not my aim to be realistic at all. I just do this for fun, so please don't judge me. I'm giving everything a quick dry, and then I grabbed out from the Birdhouses stamp set this little cloud, and I thought I would just go in with some watercolor and just kind of give the idea of clouds at the background, even though I knew that it was going to get covered up. And then on that same Beach Bums stamp set, there's little sand or a shadowy bit, but that didn't quite work out so well with the watercolor, so I went over to some colored ink pads. By the way, I received some new microphones, so if you can hear a little bit of a change in the sound quality, hopefully it's better, not worse. I think it's better. It's because I did get a nice new set, so you guys can hear me better, and hopefully that scratchy noises from that other one will now be a thing of the past. I also used the Beach Hut stamp. The one of them had like little sand just in front of it, and you can actually see it on that green and blue house. So what I did is I just inked up that bottom bit with some brown just to add a little bit of detail to the background. And now I'm just playing around with how I will put my leaves down, my house and my palm tree down. In the end, I did not get it that way again, but I figured something out. So before I put the house down, because I had cut the ladder and all of the extra bits off, I am just going to stamp onto my card directly, onto my tag directly, and then I will stick my little element that I colored in over the top. So now you can see the ladder is there and the flag is there, and also the sand and that I cut off the original one. And I'm just trying to figure out how am I going to put these palm trees in. And in the end, I had to lift my house up a little bit, but it worked out. And I'm just going to glue everything together. And I thought that looked quite cute. I thought the picture came together really nicely. And I think that's the wonderful thing about Marlene's product. You can use older products and newer products together, and they always work together. You can always figure out some way to get them to work together. I'm just going to add little finishing touches to that little flag. And I wanted to have something else here. So from Marlene's new Paper Elements book, I grabbed the tiniest little bird and a starfish. And the bird didn't pop. Obviously, it's so tiny. It had a little bit of a border. So I cut the legs off because there's no way that I was going to fussy cut around the legs. And I'm just gluing that onto the roof of the house. And then I'm also going to glue down this little starfish, which I also trimmed out a little bit more. Then I went into one of Marlene's older Paper Elements books, and I'm just getting some beachy kind of things. I thought I would use the message in a bottle, but I ended up not using it. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm actually sorry that I didn't, because it looked so cute. But it kind of went over one of the holes in that tag from the moon pattern, or the sun pattern. So I decided to leave it off. And I'm also putting a little heart down, just flipping through to see if there's anything else that could work. But then I decided that that was just fine that way. In hindsight, I wish I had left space for that little sign there that says beach, but definitely not on this tag. Maybe in the next one. Okay, now I'm going to just add a little bit of detail with my black fine liner pen, just to pop those extra elements out from the background a bit more. And then I will go in with my Stabilo All Pencil and just add the tiniest bit of shadows, because this is a hot and sunny day, and the sun, I think, is coming right from above. So there won't be too many shadows visible, just like on the underneath bits. I did find that the Stabilo All Pencil, once I wetted it, sunk right into the tag, so I couldn't really move it where it was too dark, but it's okay. It worked out in the end. Okay, I'm going to finish off with a little quote that says, do your best and forget the rest, something along those lines. It's on a turquoise background and it's white, but I found that the white blended in too much, so I just went over that as well with my fine liner pen just to pop it out a bit. And I finished off with my Derwent Inktense pencil in blue. No, I lie. It was a Tim Holtz Distress Crayon, and I just added a little shadow below each of those strips of words. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. I upload content regularly, and I love having you here. Please leave me a comment. Let me know if you can hear a difference in this recording, and I will chat to you again tomorrow. Okay, bye.